So in October, a 32GB RAM kit cost about $150. Today, the cheap one you can find is $350. In today's video, I'll show you the actual price data, the Chinese memory that was supposed to fix all of this, and everything you need to know to understand where your money is actually going. So, one of the first things I want to show you all is the price index. What you're currently looking at is Tom's Hardware's RAM price index. And this is basically a live tracker for what memory actually costs right now, today, at the cheapest place selling it. Now, one thing to understand is that back in October, a normal 32GB DDR5 kit, the kind that goes in a regular gaming PC, sold for somewhere between $100 and $200. That was normal. That was boring. Nobody thought about RAM. So you might be asking, what does that exact same kit cost today? And it's pretty clear. $369. 16 gigabytes is $199. 64 gigabytes is $796. And I want to show you this next part especially because this is the one that actually affects the most people. DDR4. The old stuff. The cheap stuff. The RAM in the machine you're probably watching this on. A 32GB kit of DDR4 was $60 to $90 in October, $193 now. So it isn't just the new expensive stuff going up. The 5-year-old budget memory roughly tripled as well, which means the cheap upgrade, the one you do to keep an old PC alive for another 2 years, that isn't cheap anymore either. Now, I want to make a caveat here because there is something that you should know. This is not one shop being greedy. This is the floor. This is the cheapest price anybody could find anywhere. And it's dated the 1st of July, and it's on screen right there. Everything I show you in this video has a date on it, and you can go and check every single one of them yourself. So, for the last 9 months, there has been one answer to this everywhere you look: China. And honestly, the idea made a lot of sense. Think of it like this. There's a Chinese memory company called CXMT. They've been scaling up really fast. And the argument was that the second they start shipping DDR5 in real volume, they undercut everybody. The price collapses. And this whole thing is over by Christmas. You've probably seen the videos. $500 down to $50. Prices destroyed overnight. Chinese memory floods the market. That was the story everyone was telling. And I'll be honest, it's a good story. There's a shortage, a new player walks in with cheap product, prices come down. That's how it's supposed to work. So, 2 days ago, the actual numbers came in. And this is where it gets interesting. What you're currently looking at is a Tom's Hardware piece from the 26th of July, and it's pulling live listings straight off JD.com, which is basically the Chinese Amazon. So here's the first one. A 64GB DDR 5600 server module using CXMT memory. 18,999 yuan. That's about $2,805. And right underneath it, same capacity, same speed, same type of server module, but built with Samsung or SK Hynix memory instead. 18,595 yuan. $2,745. So the Chinese one is $60 more expensive. Now, I want to be really careful here, because I'm not going to do the thing everybody else does. $60 on a $2,800 part is 2.2%. And Tom's Hardware says it themselves in the article, at these prices that gap is basically nothing. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you China made prices worse. That is not what the data says. The budget option isn't cheaper. It's the same price. The thing that was supposed to break the market just joined it. And one thing I will say, and most people are going to miss this completely, is that in that same article, there's a Samsung version of that exact module listed on Amazon in America for $2,425. So Chinese memory sold in China is about 16% more expensive than Samsung memory sold in the United States. That's the number that ends the argument. There's a global shortage. So why would you cut your price? Everyone is already sold out. A new competitor only pushes prices down when there's too much supply. Right now, there is the exact opposite of too much supply. So then the real question is this. If your RAM costs 3 times more than it did in October, and the Chinese company isn't taking that money, then who is? This is the document they filed with the SEC, which means every number on it is legally binding. So, quarter ending the 28th of May, revenue, $41.5 billion. That same quarter 1 year earlier, $9.3 billion. Now, out of that $41.5 billion, gross profit was $35 billion, which is an 84.6% gross margin. That same quarter 1 year ago, the gross margin was 37.7%. 2 quarters ago, 74.4%. This quarter, 84.6%. And their guidance for the very next quarter is $50 billion in revenue at around 86%. So look at that line, 37, 74, 84, 86. In 4 quarters. Same company, same factories, same product. The only thing that changed is what they're allowed to charge for it. So 84.6% means that for every $100 of memory Micron sells, it costs them roughly $15 to build it, and they keep 85. And you might be wondering, okay, but why is there a shortage in the first place? The same factories that make the RAM in your gaming PC also make the memory that goes into AI servers. And right now, one of those 2 customers is paying dramatically more than the other one. It isn't really a RAM story. It's the AI build-out reaching down and taking the supply, and you finding out about it at the checkout. And commodities do not have 85% margins. They can't. So that 84.6% isn't some permanent thing Micron won. It's a countdown. And the only real question left is what runs out first, the shortage or the demand? Watch Micron's margin instead. The moment that 86% guidance starts coming down, that is your signal that supply is caught up. Your RAM went from $150 to $350. China didn't cause it, and China's not fixing it. And I'd love to know if you've actually bought RAM recently and what you ended up paying, because I think a lot of people are still walking around with the October price in their head. If you enjoyed the video, I'll see you in the next one.